Hello, everyone. You're welcome to this beautiful session of the Need to Know series. I'm joined as usual by the seasoned professor who's helping us to deal with mental health issues because we realize that this is one area, this is one topic that the world doesn't have enough knowledge about. Even though we know a lot more today than we used to, we're still clearly light years from where we ought to be. Assistant Professor Esther Akinyemi has been in this industry for a while, and she has given us lots of knowledge already. This is yet another session where she'll be telling us, helping educate us on the concept of mental health. Today, however, what we want to focus on is the danger or the benefits of having right information. Now, I want to start with myself. Growing up, I never thought topics about mental health, I always thought were for them. But there was a period in my life where I faced a crisis in my career, and I was actually diagnosed as being depressed. I will be very upfront about that. It later turned out not to be an accurate diagnosis. Again, that's another thing we've talked about, where the wrong diagnosis could lead people to have the wrong information about you. But I did have that. I'm talking of years ago, not recently. But I thank God that I came out of that episode. I came out of that experience. I'm a lot better for it. But I'm also so this made me a lot more empathetic towards this whole mental health issue. It was in that period that I realized for the first time that mental health accounts for the largest number of deaths in North America, and that's proven. So I don't take it lightly. However, it's important to educate ourselves on what mental health is, and she will be helping us to teach us what are the basics that we need to know, that the average individual needs to know, so that we don't misdiagnose. We don't. So we easily, when somebody has headache, we recognize, oh, you have a headache, take aspirin or take whatever it is. But mental health is not physical. You don't see. You see symptoms of it, and there's a tendency to misdiagnose or to call people names, which makes it worse, not better. So let's welcome Esther to this. Please go ahead, Professor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure again being here today. And I agree, mental health definitely has a lot of stigma, and oftentimes we see it as different. One of the things I like to tell people is if you're alive, you will come across with psychiatry, period. Because in reality, it's more about who we are as human beings and how do we adjust to the things going on around us. And anytime we struggle with adjusting to things around us, regardless of the cause, on some level, something is out of balance. And that's really what we talk about mental illness. We all want to be in mental health, but we all struggle sometimes with mental illness. I'm sure we've all had sleepless nights. We've all had times when we didn't feel like eating. We've all had sad days. And a lot of that will be part of normal behavior. Some of that will sometimes go over the top. And I think every time we think about it from that perspective, that we are all moving along the continuum. And sometimes we're good days, sometimes we're bad days. We can empathize with other people when they're having those bad days. So I don't want us to see this as something so high and low. It's not crazy. That's one of the things I like to tell my patients. Struggling with something does not mean you're crazy. Crazy is different. I think the better definition of insanity and craziness is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's truly crazy. However, when it comes to mental health, we want to be able to say, one, am I able to fulfill the obligations I need to fulfill without trouble? So can I go to work and get to work on time? Can I focus when I'm at work? If I'm struggling with that, is that just a one-day thing, or is that persistent for many days? Because if it is, that might be a good time to at least talk to someone and say, I'm struggling with this. The sooner we treat anything, the usual thing is you have a better outcome. So if you have high blood pressure and you control it on time, you're less likely going to have heart problems. But if you don't control it on time, then you're more likely to have other problems down the line. So if you notice that, oh, I've not slept for the past 2 weeks and I'm not eating well and I'm feeling sad, I'm crying, which would all be suggestive of depression, talking to someone sooner rather than later will be helpful, because then you can begin to deal with it and help get better instead of it toppling over your life before you start to get help. What typically happens is that we wait too long to seek help. So, and there are many things you can do. You can talk to, frankly speaking, you can start by talking to your friends if you feel they're supportive. You can go talk to your minister or your clergy or trusted people in your community. You can seek psychotherapy, which is talk therapy. Essentially, you speak with a professional who can help you process what you're going through. And then, of course, there's medication. Just like sometimes people will tell you you have high blood pressure, you should start exercising and change your diet and not take medicine. Other times they will tell you to take medicine. Same thing with mental health. And we know there is imbalance once you start to feel that way. Those are all things that can help make it better. If you have somebody who is depressed, be the listening ear to them. Help them get into treatment. I will always suggest something. If you're not exercising, they're not exercising. It's a good time to say, let me walk with you, because we know that exercise is one of the things that actually pushes out the good chemicals in the body to make you feel better, even though you will not feel like doing it. So those are little things we can do to help in terms of mental health. But more importantly, if you or you notice somebody else having any of this trouble, they're crying a lot, they're withdrawing, they're not sleeping, they're barely eating, they're losing weight, talk to them. Or if it's you, go talk to someone and see if there's something that needs to be done, and do it sooner rather than later so you can get better.
Well, thanks a lot. One of the things I've heard you say repeatedly, which I also want to emphasize, is the need to speak out. One of the things I found out when I was in that state of depressed mind was I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to keep to myself. I was antisocial. In fact, I became a recluse, and I'm not like that normally. I think that's one major area and that's probably what makes it get from bad to worse. Keeping to yourself, not talking. But my view is, and I may be wrong, I think women do a better job of talking than men. One of the challenges I see with men is that we have maybe a bit of an ego problem, makes it difficult to open up to other people. You just keep it in yourself. And there's only so much that the heart can bear. And that's why we see people dying, just dropping dead, heart issues, like you mentioned, because these things were not resolved as and when due. And the whole reason why we're doing this is hopefully reduce this, regardless of who you are. Don't worry about your reputation. Everybody at some point or the other, as we've been told, go through some sort of stress or disorder, maybe not in the same level. So don't feel like you're out of place. Whatever it is temporary. The last thing you want to do is take your life because of this. Don't make what's supposed to be a comma a period. Learn to admit you have a challenge, and like she's told us, ask for help from your clergy, from your friends, from whoever it is. Learn, and don't end your life because of this. Your life is too valuable. We need you. Please make the most of it. Any last words, Professor?
I just want to say, if you feel like you don't have anybody, call the crisis line. In almost every place in the developed world, there is a crisis line. Call them and speak to someone. There will always be somebody who can listen to you and help you walk through things, especially if you're beginning to think life is not worth living. You should call someone at least and speak to someone before you do anything. Usually it helps to help you put things back in perspective. And that will be the big thing. And if you notice anyone withdrawing, please reach out. You've been on a group, somebody's not showing up like they used to, please reach out and see what's going on with them. There may be more than just busyness. So please reach out to other people.
To be your brother's keeper, if you will. Thank you for that. That's very important. Okay, so on that note, friends, we wish you well and hope that whatever you set out to achieve this year, with God's help and with your efforts, it will become a reality. Thank you very much from myself, Emmanuel Adebola, and from the seasoned professor, Esther Akinyemi. We say thank you and bye.
Thank you.